Hey friends, this is Quest and Current, and today we have a lot. So this video took a while to make. I'm really sorry, but I had to buy a microscope with an HDMI output, so you can actually take a look at what I'm looking at in high quality. And this took a while. So that's the cable I bought it for, and even though the packaging itself is quite uninteresting and it just says elbow C2C 100 watt hand travel data line 1 meter, the cable itself is really interesting. So I'm going to show you why. This cable is a USB-C to USB-C cable, like most of the cables are that I feature in this channel. But the main difference is that this side of the cable, besides having a really interesting 90 degrees connector on it, features a clear see-through plastic casing. And what you can see here is the active electronics, the so-called eMarker chip that's inside the connector itself, that is able to talk to your phone or your charger or your laptop or whatever you connect it to, and tells the device what kind of cable this is, what kind of voltage rating it is made to be handled, what kind of current rating it can do, what the window is, so who actually produced this cable, and a lot of other things. So we've never actually seen the eMarker IC itself, and I'm also not able to read the information of the eMarker chip or the integrated circuit that's in here without the microscope itself. So let's first take a look at the cable itself and get a quick overview before switching to the microscope. And besides the really interesting connector, we can see that it's a flat cable, so the cable dissection is actually not round, but in some way rectangular. So the cable itself seems to be made for a really specific application, and I'm not sure what the application is, but it was not too cheap, so it seems to be a replacement cable for some highly specialized equipment. And what I can think about using it for is being able to use my phone in bed while it's connected to the charger, and not risking the connector itself actually breaking off or putting too much stress on the inside of my phone, on the connector itself, on the cable. So this is what the cable is actually quite well suited for. And let's test the cable itself. Let's see what the cable itself can do before taking a closer look. And wow, even on the bottom side, there is a lot going on in here. And I'm quite sure that most of those pads are not actually populated at all. So they had a lot in mind while designing this cable. I'm really curious. And we can already see, okay, so the cable itself features active electronics with an LED inside, so the LED is blue in this case. And by connecting it to the other side of the cable tester, we should be able to see some more information. And wow, even more interesting, the cable itself seems to be a USB 2 cable, so just 480 megabits per second or 0.48 gigabits per second data speed maximum, but a maximum charging power of 250 watts or 240 watts nominally. The cable health is at 100%, so the cable is new, and the connectors and wire thickness seems to be okay on all right. USB 2 speeds as well as USB 1 speeds, everything is backwards compatible with those kind of USB connections, and the 240 or 250 watt rating comes from the voltages of up to 48 volts and the currents of up to 5 amps, so 5 times 48 is 240 watts nominal charging power with up to 50 volts according to the spec what the cable actually has to be able to handle. And the USB connections inside look pretty much what we expected them to be. We can see that the connections that are made are the ground connections, the 4 ground connections here, 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 and here, as well as the 4 VBus connections here, 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 and here. And then the connections responsible for USB 2 speeds and USB 1.1 speeds, if you want, are those two. Those are D plus and D minus from USB. And the power negotiation pins are CC1 and CC2. With this cable, both of them are connected for a reason, because this is a cable with an eMarker inside, so they need both to be able to talk to the eMarker in the cable that we actually saw and that we are going to see in a second. Those are those two, CC1 and CC2, or CC2 and CC1, I don't know, and they're actually reversible depending on which way around you plug in the cable. So we should be able to see the same thing inside the details. So we can see rebus, ground, T plus, T minus, and there even is a shield. So even though there has been some really interesting manufacturing stuff going on, they either managed to put in a shield around the data pins, or they just faked it by connecting the shield pins inside this connector. We're not going to know unless we just rip open the cable, which I don't want to do. The rebus resistance itself is at 94 milliohms, which is quite okay. But the interesting thing is that the eMarker information, so the information that is saved on this little IC that I've shown you, and that we're going to take a look at, actually features a vendor ID. So the 2E87 is something the USB IF actually hands out. You have to pay for this vendor ID to be active each year. So we can actually see what the vendor of this cable is, who they are and what their name is. And the nominal voltage of 50 volts at 5 amps that I've explained earlier is also saved. It says that it's a USB 2.0 cable, which is kind of correct. And the latency is anything between 10 to 20 nanoseconds, which would practically be around 2 meters, but the cable itself is only 1 meter long. So the manufacturer actually said, okay, our cable probably doesn't feature that high of a C rating, so the data itself is not too fast, or they just wanted to be on the safe side with the latency. So what they also say is that the hardware and the software revision of this cable are both 0. So either this is actually first hard and software revision of the cable, or they didn't bother to change that while changing the revisions themselves due to just the laziness or the missing need of actually being able to change that. The vendor-defined message and the vendor-defined ID are basically the same kind of information that is shown above, just in more detail, and you can actually use that differently. So now that we know what kind of cable this generally is, we are going to switch to the microscope and get in more detail about the IC and the eMarking that is inside. One moment, please. So now we can actually see the microscope, and sorry, but this is the second take as I am using this for the first time and I don't know how the microscope recording setting works yet. So the camera on the top left you should be able to see is just the overview camera, where you can see more than the actually zoomed in camera can do, or the microscope itself can do. So what you can see is the same cable as earlier, and the microscope features the zoomed in variation of that, just so you have an overview. And I'm going to disconnect that. We do now have the connector itself in full shot and in full frame, and we are first going to take a look at the connector, because that's the first time we've actually looked at the inside of a USB-C connector, and the first thing we can see is that the plastic is red inside, something I've never seen, and that there are not actually all of the connections and not all of the pins are available inside the connector. So this connector features the outer 4 pins, and is this in focus? Yes, which are ground, and then there are some missing. So on the left and right hand side, on the top and bottom here, a lot of them are actually missing, and then the inner ones are back fully. Yes, all of them. So the other ones are ground, and then the ones responsible for example, USB 3 or USB 4 speeds are missing. And then you can see the 4 VBus pins. So the one on the right hand side top, right hand bottom, and left hand top and left hand bottom are the VBus pins. And then the ones in the middle are the D plus, D minus pins for USB-T data transmission speeds, as well as the CC1 and CC2 pins and the general configuration pins of the USB-C connector. So I hope that you can see this and it's fully in focus. What we actually wanted to see over here is what the clear case has to offer and what the manufacturer actually put inside this connector and what the printed circuit board inside can do. What we can immediately see is that there are a lot of unpopulated parts. So all of the ones on the top here, and I should pick something to point with. 1 second. Yeah, nice. So all of those things are unpopulated. The ones over here are also unpopulated. Down here, unpopulated. And over here, unpopulated. The only things that are populated are the eMarker IC, so the integrated circuit responsible for advertising the cable as a cable capable of doing, in this case, 50 volts at 5 amps and having the vendor ID stored and all this stuff. As well as what we can see here is one capacitor, the brown one, one resistor, most certainly, the black one, and the blue LED we saw earlier. So the resistor and the blue LED are most certainly a pair, so they form the LED and the current limiting resistor. So the only part necessary for this eMarker IC is this capacitor for voltage buffering or stabilization of its own supply. And so I actually want to be able to read this, so let me first switch this around. The eMarker itself is a 332A, BOA2 or BQA2, and I'm going to look that up later, and then we are going to switch back to the bench and take a look at the eMarker inside and what it can actually do. And before that, we flip the connector back around and take a look at the circuit board again. And what we can see here is that there are even more unpopulated pads. So the circuit board itself features again space or pads for another integrated circuit, another IC, and another probably 15 or 10 to 15 components that could have been assembled here. So either the manufacturer wanted to have the option to use a different kind of eMarker IC so that they are not bound to one manufacturer or that they can switch around whatever they like, or what I think is the more plausible option, that they actually wanted to use this connector and the cable itself for something completely different. So the USB standard itself features the option to use the connector for something other than USB. This is, for example, used by Thunderbolt. So the Thunderbolt itself uses cables that look like USB cables, but actually Thunderbolt cables. And while they are different, they feature basically the same features. But theoretically, you could also use different kind of transmission standards, or you can use the cables for different kinds of applications. And all of this would be up to spec. And if we take a look at the end of the connector here, you can see this round button, and the button itself cannot be pressed, but I'm quite sure that the manufacturer thought about this while manufacturing this, that they can actually use it to be able to press this button while you have connected this to a device. And then the cable itself would, for example, send a certain sequence of commands, or would advertise itself as a special kind of cable, or it would light up in a special way. So I'm quite sure that this should have been a switch or a button or whatever, so that you could actually switch between the different usage modes of the cable, for example, USB and whatever they else had in mind. But with this, it's not pressable. The PCB on the connector probably reaches under here, so we can see two pads, one on the top and one on the bottom, shining through in a nice coppery outline. So they definitely had something in mind. But without talking to them and without actually opening the connector, we're not going to know. So now let's take a look at these eMarker IC, the 3320, and for this we're going to switch back to the bench. 1 second. And we're back on the bench. So let's first take a look at the overview of this eMarker IC, and it actually is a 332A, so it's an HUSB 332A eMarker chip for USB Type-C cables made by Heintek Semiconductor company, and it can do USB Type-C 2.0 and PD 3.0 compliant cables. It is certified, so what we saw earlier, the vendor ID is actually from this Heintek company, and it basically embeds everything, the RA resistors and the Vcon diodes necessary for eMarker power delivery negotiations. And if we take a look at that, we can see that from one side of the connector or from the cable, this connector on the left-hand side and the right-hand side are directly connected. And the IC sits in the middle and only has two optional capacitors, and most certainly one of them actually is assembled, the one we saw on the board earlier. And all the other pins are short-circuited to ground, so the SCL and SDA pins are I2C pins for programming the IC, and the Vcon 1 and Vcon 2 are the Vcon inputs from the supply of the cable, as well as the CC pin responsible for the power negotiations. So this is actually the communication pin that can talk to the device connected to the cable, or the cable itself can answer to their requests. So this is how it is connected internally inside the connector itself. And besides some marketing and spec things, we can take a look at the block diagram of the IC here. And what we saw earlier, the Vcon 1 and Vcon 2 do have those integrated diodes, so they don't have to be externally, as well as the integrated termination resistances. This is so that the devices we connect the cable to actually see a device being connected, so they can see that some current is flowing, and then they immediately know, okay, so something has been connected, so we should now apply some voltage, so that this device that is having been connected can actually talk to us. And after those two diodes, because we don't know from which directions the power is coming, because we don't know which cable end is going to be plugged in first, and which one is the supply and which one is the source and the sink. So both of them go to this common voltage regulator, under voltage and over voltage detection. So those things are making our supply voltage, and then they are afterwards actually be able to talk on this CC pin with your phone, tablet, laptop, or whatever you connect to it over this USB PD power delivery 3.0 physical interface with protocol layer below that, and an internal bus with a register bank and this one-time programmable flash, as well as a temperature sensor, which could also theoretically be read out through the CC pin. And like I said earlier, the I2C engine over here with the SDA and SCL pins is responsible for programming the IC. So if you are a cable manufacturer or want to manufacture a cable according to your standards, the manufacturer will program this IC once over this I2C input into this one-time programmable flash. And the IC will from then on always and all the time report as whatever you've programmed into it. With this, we now know a lot more about USB cables. We now know a lot more about eMarker ICs in general and how they work. I think it was totally worth waiting for it, especially waiting for the microscope, but let me know if you think otherwise. Let me know what you generally think about this, and if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching.